regardless of whether or not Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill is the quarterback here, there is a unique opportunity for Tre'Quan Smith. We're going to break it down in 3 different elements. We're going to look at the opportunity, then we're going to look at the way that the offense might change, and then we'll take a look at a proof of concept when it comes to Tre'Quan Smith, because he's already shown you that he can do this if put in the correct situation, or let's say the proper situation for his skill set. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to talk about the opportunity first. So the opportunity here for Tre'Quan Smith comes down to him winning the wide receiver 2 position. Now, can you threaten the field and stretch the field from the slot? Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. But Tre'Quan Smith has proven, and we'll get to this more when we get to proof of concept, that he can do this really well on the outside in particular. So let's take a look at his snaps from the outside versus his snaps from the slot over the past 3 seasons, over his 3 seasons in the NFL. If you want to see all of this written out, you can go and check out, it's the newest piece up right now over at canalstreetchronicles.com. So in 2018, he spent only 99 snaps in the slot, according to Pro Football Focus, versus 240 on the outside. So he spent a lot more time on the outside, which is really important. And we'll kind of circle back around to that. 2019, we saw the outside snaps drop from 240 to 115, but then the slot snaps, or the inside snaps, raised from 99 to 190. Meanwhile, in 2020, and 2020, of course, was a little bit of an anomaly, right? Because he was asked to do a lot of things, serve a lot of roles based upon the availability, or many times unavailability, of wide receivers in this offense. Health, injury, and most notably, of course, Michael Thomas missing as many games as he had to with his ankle injury. So he ended up playing 232 snaps in the slot, but still 191 out wide. Now, this is important because in 2019, when he only took 37% of his snaps on the outside, his target share was very low as well. And this was, of course, a season where Michael Thomas, caught 149 passes because there wasn't a viable second option at the wide receiver position, or at least that's what it felt like throughout most of the season. That's why the Saints went out and got Emmanuel Sanders that following offseason. During that year, he was targeted, Tre'Quan Smith, only once every 13 routes run. That's down from 7.4 when it came to 2018, and then also down from 2020, where that went back up to 8.4. So he's targeted a lot more when he plays on the outside. So that's more about the opportunity for Tre'Quan Smith. Now, let's talk about how the offense might change and how that affects his ability to be able to turn that opportunity into production. If you take a look back at 2017, there are 2 plays that I lightly broke down in this piece. But in 2011, there was a play against the Detroit Lions in the wild card round. The New Orleans Saints were up 31-21 in this game, 4th quarter, 2nd and 17, and they run this trips formation, or this bunch trips formation, bunch over to the left, and then they ended up motioning the running back out of the backfield. So it was a 3-by-2 type of formation. But in this play, you had 2 verticals go down the field on either side, and then a post route over on the left side, or top of the screen, if you will, which ends up creating a divide concept. Anytime that you have on the same side of the field a vertical sort of fly route and then a post route that pairs with it, it's a divide concept. When they utilized that, there were 2 routes, or 2 players underneath, the running back and the tight end, Jimmy Graham, and I believe it was Darren Sproles that year, if I remember correctly, were wide open underneath. And they're in the lead by 10 points in the 4th quarter here, right? Did Drew Brees go underneath to either one of those options? No. He went deep 56 yards for a touchdown to Robert Meacham on the outside, who was running the fly route. Now we can see a similar route combination used in 2020, week 4, up against the Los Angeles Chargers. And this was similar field position, right? But it was a different game sort of situation, right? Overtime tied up 27-27, but you need a touchdown to win the game, 2nd and 6 in this instance. And again, perfect field position to take a shot. Maybe you don't want to risk it because the fact that if you turn the ball over, then the other team only needs a field goal in order to win. But the Saints ended up still needing that sort of later on down the line anyway. So in this route concept, you see the same type of combination, the divide concept, where you have Tre'Quan Smith running a 9 route, and then you have Marquez Callaway running a post route from the inside. But the 9 route is the only vertical route. So in 2011, where we saw 2 of them things running down the field, we only see 1 here. And we also see Emmanuel Sanders choke up on a route 16 yards down the field and start for a comeback. And then we see Jared Cook with a bit of an over route coming back to the outside, or a little bit more of an out route coming back to the outside, which is where Drew Brees ended up going. That was an 11-yard gain for a first down. So it wasn't a bad play. It served its purpose, right? It kept the ball moving, it kept them moving forward, and it moved the chains. Everything worked, but in the past, you saw them wait to allow and see if that downfield shot was going to be there. The first play in 2011 that we talked about, that ball was held for quite a bit to allow that route concept to develop and the routes themselves to develop. Whereas in 2020, the ball was out rather quickly, right around 3 seconds, the usual about where the Saints like to get the ball out nowadays. So you can see the change there. Does that end up changing back to maybe some of those 2011 deep shots with a Taysom Hill or with a Jameis Winston under quarterback, or under center rather, and at quarterback? So that's the other part to look at here. We know the opportunity could be there for him, but does the offense change enough to support that opportunity? But now we have proof of concept on top of all of this to say, if those two things line up, that the change of the offense is there and there is a little bit more of an intent to stretch the field, and there is opportunity for Tre'Quan Smith to do so, particularly on the outside, that he creates the production during those times. Tre'Quan Smith only has 3 games over his 40-game career so far, regular season career, in which he has over 80 receiving yards. The first of which, or most recent of which rather, came last year in 2020, week 2 against the Las Vegas Raiders. But the other 2, and his only 100-yard receiving games in his regular season career, came his rookie season in 2018. 111 against the Washington football team, the big record-setting game for Drew Brees, and 157 just a few weeks later against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, what was in common for Tre'Quan Smith over all 3 of those games is that he played the majority of his snaps on the outside in those matchups. 61.1% last year in 2020 up against the Las Vegas Raiders, where he had 86 receiving yards, when he had 111 up against the Washington football team. I know they weren't called that at the time, but we're not going there. Washington football team, 89.7% of his snaps were taken out wide. And against Philadelphia in that 157-yard game, he was outside 74.2% of the time. So the proof of concept is there. Now we just have to see if the opportunity and the intent of the offense all match up. If so, it could be a big-time breakout season for Tre'Quan Smith in 2021.